So in Detroit, in the surrounding area, we would put on public events calling for the legalization of marijuana. Not a popular position at that time. At that time, marijuana was regarded as a narcotic by the state of Michigan. And if I were to sell you or give you 2 joints of marijuana, I would be subject to a 20-year mandatory minimum prison sentence or possibly life in prison. So we thought this was a pretty bad idea all the way around. There weren't that many of us at that time that were smoking marijuana. That came a couple of years later when it seemed to explode across America in the minds of millions of youth. And then all kinds of great things happened after that. Nobody ever gives weed enough credit for its role in bringing people together and inspiring us to do things together and to confront the powers that be and to insist on a righteous solution to the problems of humankind. But there it is. I don't know anybody I've ever interacted with over the last 50 years. 50 years. We didn't sit down and smoke a joint first, and then the ideas would flow from that.
It's the best inspiration, yeah, for good ideas.
It's
You just
good-
need to write them down because you forget them easily.
Well, yeah. Now they have the little recording devices and all kinds of ways to keep track of what you're doing. But what made me think of this one time, and it must have been before I went to prison in 1969, I took part in a public event to debate the question of marijuana. And I was on stage at the Hill Auditorium in Ann Arbor, Michigan. There was about 8 different squares on this panel. They were all medical experts and all of that. And I remember listening to them talk for a while and then reaching in my pocket and pulling out a joint and say, well, wait a minute. We're having all this talk. How about a demonstration of what we're talking about? And I let this joint up and these people just went nuts, you know. And I thought, man, should be easier to smoke a joint in public than this. You know, of course, I only took one so I could get rid of it when the heat came down. It was a dramatic gesture, you might say, but at the same time, a gesture that was committed over and over again all day long to light up the joint, take a hit, and keep going.
Yeah, that's about what happened here, I think, at the same time, except that here, it's a small country and so many people did it. We had like smoking center down, and they couldn't put them all in jail. So they somehow, and it was very mainstream. Everybody was smoking weed, and it was very clear also that everybody was smoking weed. So that it wasn't just that they could like put a label on and say like it's the potheads, yeah. That wasn't possible in those days in Holland. No,
Maybe because it was so small.
it was everybody.
We were kind of lost in America. There would be like 10 potheads, and then there would be about 175 miles of squares. And then there would be another 10 potheads in Chicago, you know. We were lost in the wilderness.
Squares.
Yeah.
We have squares.
As a former religious leader of mine, the Reverend Jesse Crawford would say, we're treading water in an endless sea of squares. This is much better now. And of course, what y'all did here in Holland is a great inspiration to those of us in America who are still trying to make a change there. Incidentally, one of the things they're celebrating in the Cannabis Cup this year is that 2009 is probably the best year in our lifetime so far for those of us who are proponents of marijuana legalization. So many good things have happened and it's accelerated. 2 days ago, the Washington Post had a big story saying legalization seems imminent. That was very encouraging to me. First, the president pulled the federal police out of the marijuana clinics and took the gun away from the head of the marijuana patients, of which I'm proud to say I am now one. When I was in Michigan last month, I got my papers from the doctor, and I'm a marijuana patient now, and they can't fuck with me again. After 45 years of being a criminal, I started smoking, well, more than that. I started smoking in 1961. I can't really do the math, but I don't have a calculator, you know. That was a long time ago. And all of that time until a month ago, I was a criminal for doing this, and now I'm not. Shit is funny, ain't it?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine living like that, to be honest.
Yeah, I talk to kids here who look like yourself, who have grown up, not to call you a kid, but you're all kids to me.
Yeah,
People who have grown up under the tolerance
in
of Holland.
In Holland, people have a very protected environment if they...
This is kind of like a Cheech and Chong movie, isn't it, with all the different people fixing the money. I'm sorry. Come on. What were you saying? I'm sorry.
Shit.
Whatever it is, if we think of something to say next, maybe they'll hear it a little bit better. Now that we've been adjusted.
I think I resort to lighting up the
let's
joint.
just light one up.
John, you were talking about
Thank
how
you.
things were going,
Thanks, Kenny.
and things were improving. in the
They
state.
are, right. Thanks, Kenny. God damn, I don't know what I'd do if you weren't here today, man. Thanks for coming with me. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. 2009, big changes. The federal directive from the Attorney General of the state of Michigan, of the United States, to withdraw the police raids on dispensaries have done beautiful things, because not 4 years ago in Los Angeles, under George W. Bush, they had this thing to shut down the clinics. They only had 2 or 3 of them. The main clinic, which I used to go to there, Scott Eisler's clinic, they seized their property, they seized their computers, they seized their bank accounts, they shut them down completely. They took all the plants and destroyed them. Well, now they've got, as David Peer was saying, from 800 to 1,000 dispensaries in Los Angeles alone. That's a good sign. It's also quite a shocking indication to Americans of how many people want to cop some marijuana. They've never thought about it like that before, I'll bet you. 1,000 marijuana stores in one city. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of potheads. So they're facing these things. The American Medical Association 2 weeks ago told Congress that they must consider removing marijuana from the Schedule I list of narcotics, which has been the main blockage to progress all along, because Congress has ruled in its infinite wisdom that marijuana has no medical properties, and it's a dangerous drug, and it should be considered as highly evil. And that's what Category 1 narcotics.